I have nothing to prove to anyone at this point. We are creating our own world.
What's the best camera name towards? This one? Yeah. Okay. Hi, my name is Jasmine A Golphin. I am a visual artist. I am a creative director. And frankly, I'm just a fan of art in general. And I'm just excited to talk about all things art and the process and the why. To my left, we have...
Hi, I'm Jailyn Sherrell Harris. I usually go by Jay. I am a choreographer, dancer, teaching artist, dreamer, maker of things, and I'm just really excited to be here. So,
Also, pronouns. She, her.
she, her.
And then to my right.
Hey y'all, my name is Eris Eady. I'm an artist, writer, curator of healing spaces. This is my first child, my only child, my one of one, my only one. Word to Beyonce. This is Yassine Zora Renee. They are 4 weeks old as of yesterday. And I use she and they pronouns, and they use she and they pronouns for now too until they tell me otherwise. So
That's what we want to hear. I'm so here for it. Thank you, first off, for debuting.
yes,
On
this
this
is your
platform,
debut.
okay?
Ain't nobody seen you.
I appreciate you being here as we talk about rebirth, renewal,
Yes.
a new season, and
Indeed.
how we approach those things.
And also, this baby has gone to 2 Beyonce concerts in utero.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just talk about it. Let's just get into it. First off, part of the reason these two are here is because I didn't get to go to the concert. I am tuning in theaters. But I wanted to celebrate this now, and I figured I knew two people who have gone to the concert. So just let's start off with, how did it make you feel? We'll start with you.
I guess the best way to describe it is euphoric. It was just one of those spaces where like euphoric, communal, scene. Like I don't even know. Like there's not like an adequate one word to describe the experience that was had. Especially considering that I think like everyone had a similar individual experience. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think similar to you, I'm a lover for art. So I'm not in the beehive. I'm like beehive adjacent. But I also, I remember years ago during one of the Beyonce tours, I ended up doing a hometown tour. Touring different venues, doing poetry, getting ready. This is 10 years ago. Getting ready to compete for the Women of the World Poetry Competition. You got words, okay. And I just remember doing, 30-minute, 45-minute sets and being exhausted doing poetry in that time frame and going to see Beyonce. I think I ended up seeing her in Detroit around that time and realizing that like she put on a 2.5-hour show in heels and stockings and in the wig, and I was like, I know it's hot under there. Like you can't help but to respect the craft of a person who is committed to their art in the way that they're committed to their art. And so I've always been able to just appreciate the evolution and how the intentionality that she has. And so it was nothing for me to go to the concert a few times.
This is exactly actually the thing I want to like tap into, is that like obviously Beyonce gets enough show for being who she is, but like we don't talk about the craft, the work of that, like a performance on that. Like that was the first takeaway when I was watching it. It was like, oh, you did some work. Like
I mean, from the graphics to just how a person chooses to put together a set to make sure that it flows in the way that it's supposed to flow. Like, I'm not supposed to be crying 10 minutes into the concert, but here I am listening to 1+1 and Dangerously in Love with my very pregnant, 5-month pregnant self. Like,
I think what's also really cool is like the artistry that was encouraged, just like even in the audience, like people would like create specific looks
Yes.
just to go.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And the evolution of it
Yes.
as well, because I went to the first concert I went to was in England. So
Okay.
I went to
Oh, nice.
Sunderland.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see Blue Ivy perform there. She decided to perform literally the next stop in London. In London, so I saw her the show before. I was mad about that, but I got over it. But you know, there were looks in England. There were several looks early on in the tour, but by the time I got to see it in DC, the game had changed.
DC must
By
have
the
been-
time she took this concert stateside, folks were not here to play.
No.
They did not play. I didn't play. Like I had to come differently. Like I was real just cute and I was like, oh no, I can't play.
Yeah.
Not I can sing.
I packed very modestly because I flew Frontier. So I'm like, it has to fit in the bag and the bag has to fit in the carry-on.
Yes.
Like I'm not paying for an extra. But the outfit that I would have worn, I wore to Pandemonium. And it was just one of those things where I'm like, this is for you. This is
in honor of what we were
Yes.
doing. Yes. And like, I think that was the thing, because even when she made the announcement of like, oh, this is the wardrobe now, I need you to come in silver.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh, all right. I mean, throw out my outfit, but sure.
Right.
Like,
I discovered I look good in silver. Like it works. So
listen,
thank you, Beyonce.
You were a gold girl before?
I was a gold, like rose gold,
rose
that
gold
kind of
girl.
area. I still kind of am, but I think silver is just like it works.
It does.
Yeah, I've always been a silver girly. So
Yeah.
I'm like that's nothing for me.
Yeah.
But I appreciated folks coming in different iterations of Beyonce inspiration during the concerts as well. Like they had the folks that came in the camo, the folks who came in the chrome.
Yeah.
You know,
there are errors.
yeah, the folks who remade the handprint outfits.
Yes.
Oh yes.
You know, I saw a girl,
Both
both of them.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take this into, and I've got it running here. If we need to, we can project it there. But I want to take this into like our craft, right? Like, why did it respond to us in a certain way, or our lives, or whatever that means to you? So for me, I mean, like it was like I remember being on Twitter, like seeing her say, "Hey, I'm gonna be real chill about this one." Like, I have dancers to do the hard choreography so that y'all still are, engaged. But this is me doing my craft for you. And like, I'm celebrating that. And like, you can even hear it coming out of my voice. Like, that, I needed to hear Beyonce say that. You know what I mean? Like, that's something I'm practicing and I'm trying to learn to be present in. And that's why you're watching this today. But like, the superstar who's been in this business since 1999 said, we don't need to do all this. I'm doing this and you're going to enjoy it and it's for us. That did something for me. And like, again, that's why y'all watching this right now. So like, whoever wants to jump in first.
I think it was the learning that she got from Coachella.
Yes.
That it is not necessary to put your body and your energy and just all of it on the line for the sake of a performance, especially for a multi-city tour.
Yes.
It's like, I can do this 2 nights.
Right.
I can commit to that for 2 nights, but I'm not going to put my body on the line in that way. My heel's gonna be a little bit shorter. I'm 40.
Right.
You know, like I'm 40 and some change.
How did it show up for you? Like, how did
I think for me, what it did was it showed the power of collaboration and the importance of trusting the ability to collaborate.
Yes.
Because you're not an island. You can't do it alone. And you shouldn't do it alone. And even a very perfectionist Virgo like Beyonce is, showed us like there's power in connecting with people and allowing their crafts to show up to be able to make me show up even better as well.
Right.
And it also just expands who you can connect to when you open up the field for collaboration. So like, if she was still stuck on like, it has to be me, she would have never honored Uncle Johnny in the way that she did. She would have never had the queer folk doing, coming in and being a part of the production in the way that they were.
Right.
Blue probably would not have been there.
No.
You know? But she knew that there was more to it than just her. And so this was also, I think, an opportunity for her to introduce Blue Ivy to the world in a way that was accessible to Blue.
Yeah.
And on Blue's terms. And we got to sit and literally watch her elevation and evolution and confidence just grow as an 11-year-old.
Yeah. Listen.
I don't have those expectations.
And I love I love that, like, there's that moment that she always gives her that moment to just take in the, like, audience applause.
Yeah.
And, like, she's not standing right over being like, this is my baby. Like, no, like, there's that pride. It's always there. But, like, no, you need this space to, like, decide who you want to be. And there is, she's already a public figure and can't help it. So you get to control that. Yeah. In some ways. What about you? What, like, connected for you?
Definitely, I love the idea of collaboration. Like, I was the person who looked up, like, who choreographed this, who did this, and all that stuff. I was like as many dancers as I could find and follow on Instagram, I did. There were some dancers who, like, I kind of, like, known about them before, so seeing them, like, reach this, I was, like, I felt, like, excited, even though, like, our only connection, I guess, is, like, through dance. Like, I don't know them personally, but I'm like, okay, like, I see you. Yeah. I also really appreciate, like, B just, like, showing up as herself. And granted, like, she's Beyonce, so she can just show up and be like, I'm Beyonce. Right. But, like, I think that courage to just, like, say, like, this is where I'm at right now. This is what I'm going to do and share with you. And I want you to show up as yourself as well. Yeah. And just, like, be in that together, I think was really powerful. I also just loved, I think where I was sitting, I was able to see it all tied together. And just being able to see both like the individual picture and like the big picture at work was just very like mind blowing. Because like they were camera people who like knew, like it was so finely choreographed that I was just like, oh my, like I need to be in this room. Beyonce, I'm coming for your next one. Yes.
We're going to speak it into existence.
No, that's right.
Okay, so, because I know we don't have a whole lot of time with you, I want to get into, you have dance film. Yeah. Like, talk to me about what that means.
So I have always, I feel like when I choreograph, I always choreograph from like a cinematic lens and point of view. And I recently listened to a podcast that talks about the history of prep and Ivy fashion. And there's a book called Black Ivy, and like just the photographs in that book are very like visceral, I guess that's a better word. And so I wanted to take that. I was really like inspired by it and like figuring out like what does it look like to add movement to these clothes, how do they move, and what story can be told, and create a dance film inspired by the use of fashion spaces.
No, not bad. No, listen. First off, I want them to be back and be a part of this conversation. But let me know what things do.
But just like the use of fashion in Black spaces to convey different things, to convey respectability or like convey status, convey education, and so it was an idea that I had, I think, ever since I heard the podcast, which was, I want to say, last winter. Okay. And I was like, I need to make this happen, and then like everything just started to line up and fall into place where it could happen. And
there's a little.
Yeah, I can't talk about it yet.
Okay,
I can't talk about it yet.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, it'll be in like the show notes after.
Yes. I was gonna say, also we're gonna put a link to like everything you just mentioned, the book and like the podcast. So
so that way you can check it out. But yeah, I'm really excited because for me, I would love to be able to take my choreography and translate it to film, reach larger audiences. I love choreographing for musical theater, but I also have the goal of choreographing for TV and film. So being able to do that on my own terms, I'm really excited about.
And we've talked about like the struggle, if you will, of like trying to film a dance performance. Yeah. So, like, other than the like social media like fast-paced TikTok sort of version, when someone sets up like a serious camera, sometimes the framing can be very limited, or it can be very like choppy, and you don't get the sense of like full body and movement.
And there's a lot of different approaches, I guess. Have you ever heard of Busby Berkeley?
I'm vaguely familiar, but
he was like this old school Hollywood choreographer who did like these like massive formations, and I think a lot of times, excuse me, a lot of times. When I think of like dance and film, I think of capturing those formations first to get the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And then zooming into like the smaller details.
I think so often when I see like live performances recorded like the Grammys or whatever, they're so focused on like I have to get the shot of the star that you're missing the choreography.
Yeah.
Like I think about the Super Bowl performance, thinking back to Beyonce. But like I remember being like in my head, oh no, that's not how I would shoot this.
Yeah.
Like, I need this camera up here. I need a drone here. Like, I need, like, and I think about that a lot and like kind of take it into what you're talking about.
But
this upcoming project.
I also think that sometimes like choreographers, and this isn't like a dig at them,
Sure.
but I think they don't necessarily consider like the medium they're choreographing for.
Also true.
And so it's one of those things where like, I think just because I like grew up like watching so many movies, that's just kind of like layered into what I do.
Sure.
But I think sometimes we don't think about like, we have a camera over here, what's that going to capture? We have like this drone shot, what is that going to capture? So making sure it's a complete picture all the way around versus just like, this individual frame is where I'm going to keep my focus.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think too that goes back to like collaboration, right? Like it's, and I'm being mindful of the time, so it's going to be the last one. But going back to this thing about collaboration, of like, that is an inherent collaboration between someone who knows how to run camera and someone who's choreographed.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think that happens enough. So yeah, I'm glad we got a chance to touch on that because that was another thing I was thinking about watching Renaissance was like the choreography of the camera tool.
And I'll say before I have to like dash out, I think Beyonce was very smart in how she designed it because I think she had social media in mind. Like there's obviously like moments, right, that you're going to want to like capture and share on social media. But she also did it in a way that can be enjoyed live and that makes sense, which we didn't know at the time, but she knew, which makes sense to like watch on a movie screen.
Yes.
And so I think just that much forethought and insight into like how is this going to look, how is this going to be captured, says like just a lot about her workmanship and her artistry.
And then that's like the takeaway for us is like
it's thinking about being able to think about the end goal in sight.
Yes.
Like, you know, I feel like she started with I'm gonna make a movie, and then dial it back to what do I have to do on stage to make this movie look the way I want to look.
Yeah.
Right. And she basically used Coachella as her litmus test.
Yeah. Which I could talk about for so long. I'm not going to, but I could talk about that for so long.
Yeah, I mean, it's very very smart.
Yeah.
The way that she just, the artist process of just thinking through it and having that foresight to say like, this is what I want the end game to be, so this is what I need to do now to make sure that this looks the way that I want it to look later.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pause here.
Okay.
See what you can do now.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
So nice to meet you.
Likewise.
This will happen again. Okay, I'm already in March, so. We're back. What if I put a commercial break in there? I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. Thank you for joining us. So Jay had to leave, but I want to pick up where we left off, which was talking about like now taking this into the personal, like rebirth, renewal, all that is we've talked about so far about Beyonce and this performance. Like, where did that show up for you, or how did that show up for you?
So, you know, going to this concert twice was one experience, but two, I bought my first set of tickets to the concert before I knew I was pregnant. And so, you know, decided to go to this concert, shoot my shot to go to England because I had never been to the UK before.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, you know, I'm about to be in the streets. You know, it's 2023. I got plans. I've been manifested all types of things, and you know, I came home from my Jamaica trip, and the tickets went on sale in the UK, and I saw people like crying and throwing up, thinking about how they was gonna get these tickets for the US side. So I was like, I'm not even about to compete in this market. Like, why would I? When I have a passport and Audacity,
right,
which is all that's really required for me. Anyway, so you know, I shot my shot, and got these tickets. It took like several times of me trying to swipe through. They thought I was like fraud, like
because you were buying them anyway.
Yeah,
right.
You know, they thought I was seducing and scheming. Shout out to Rap Shit, which I'm really enjoying season 2 of.
That's on my list. Because I forgot I have to find Rap Shit.
Oh yeah,
and I heard season 2 is good so far.
Yeah, I mean it's 2 episodes in, but like it's good. Like I'm enjoying the show. But so I got these tickets, and then literally like less than a week later, maybe 2 weeks. I haven't even really done the math, but found out I was pregnant a couple of weeks later, and had like my first trimester was really tumultuous, and so you know, I spent my first trimester trying to get myself healthy enough to be able to travel internationally at 5 months pregnant.
Right.
And you know, in and out of the hospital a couple of times. I was on bed rest, all of those things, and so, but I was like, hey, we gotta go. We got places. We got to go. Things to do. And then I ended up getting laid off at 4 months pregnant. No. And so all of a sudden I'm like, and I didn't have the time to take off work anyway. Like I had no PT. I didn't have enough PTO to go to Europe. Like. So when I got laid off, I was like, well, I don't have to worry about time off.
That's solved.
You know what I'm saying? Got my little severance package. You know, like, well, we in these streets if we get healthy enough. And so thankfully I got to go ahead to be able to go. And I think there's just something about creating, whether you're creating a life, which was brand new for me. I've never been pregnant before. Never will be pregnant again.
Okay.
I don't know if that's my camera, but
that's your camera. Yep. Locking it down.
This is me to my uterus right now. So you do right by me. Everything you think about gonna crumble. I want you to crumble, so don't do right by me. Crumble. Sorry.
No, I love it. This is why I asked. This is exactly why I asked. I was like, this is a long shot. They just had a baby. I don't know, but I'm gonna see. Thank you.
But I think there is, all seriousness, there is something to creating. And I've created plenty of projects and created, you know, books and performances and all of that. And I had just come off the heels of doing my first gallery exhibit last November called How I Got Over, which was just really talking about how I healed through, you know, understanding what it meant to be disabled in a new way, and living with long COVID and all of these other things. And so here I was again learning how to heal through navigating pregnancy as well as long COVID and experiencing my body doing things that just never done before. Right. And then I had the audacity to want to get on a 7-hour flight to Europe, and being able to be in collaboration and care, like the friend that I went with and the care that she was able to offer me for both concerts. We went to both concerts together, and you know, asking for support and asking for help, which is all the things that you need to do to be able to do a performance. Yes. And create projects and create art anyway. You know, having to have assistive devices and accessibility devices and tools. So me having to walk with my cane unabashedly and you know, and without shame, was new for me. And being able to ask for help in the venues and getting the help and getting support. You having to go to the bathroom a billion times. Right. You know, navigating all of these spaces as a disabled person was that was the art for me in a sense. That was what all of these things, all these experiences were bringing up for me. And so doing that at 5 months pregnant versus going to the DC concert at 7 months pregnant where we drove, but also we were at the second night for DC and it rained. Pretty much the entire time it was a delay.
Okay, I remember that one. Yeah,
it was a super delay, and we got rained on pretty much like 2 hours or so before it actually calmed down. You know, there was a pregnant person like in the row behind me that fell out and had to get wheeled out of the concert. I'm just like, ma'am, we are pregnant. You can't do the most. Like, why are you overheating when it's raining the whole time? It's chilly enough to where like your core temperature should like sit down every other song. You ain't gotta bop the every song.
Beyonce knows she's here. You know, she knows you here.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and there was a girl who went to labor at one of the West Coast concerts. She went into labor at the concert and had her baby the next day. I think it was on Beyonce's birthday concert. So like she had a whole Virgo baby, and that was just my fervent prayer was not to have a Virgo baby. Thank you, God.
You know, speaking it into existence.
I mean, her Venus is in Virgo. We can navigate that, but
sure.
Yeah. I cannot have. I wasn't trying to be ran like that.
All right, listen. So like part of the reason why I asked you specifically is because we've talked about this thing of like being the eldest daughter, and like
yes,
again, Beyonce also an eldest daughter.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, I don't have to manage all of this.
Yeah, and it's so hard to relinquish.
Yes.
Like that is healing. That's therapy.
Yes.
You can see that she's decided to put in some work. I mean, the decision to leave Destiny's Child, to not be like big sistering
Yes.
a group,
Yes.
as well as big sistering in your personal life,
And like getting away from her father. And that's all we really need to get into. We don't need to like go into that.
because this year taught me so much. Then we'll have that conversation.
We'll have that conversation off camera. But the way you just felt that is for a reason.
Yes.
And that's the thing of like, again, like you said this before, it's like, it's not that we're a stan. It's, I see the craft. I see the work.
And game has to recognize game.
And
Like, and I mean, and I would be foolish to be like, oh, Beyonce, she ain't nothing. She ain't vocals impeccable. We always together
Every time.
And I mean, and there could be a whole different conversation about the fashion in and of itself.
Yes.
And the outfit choices and how the outfits and fashion evolve from show to show to show.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I'm completely impressed, completely blown away just by how much it takes.
And that's because you know how much it takes.
Yeah.
Like that's part of it is like you're able to bring yourself to that because you're like, I know behind the scenes on this.
Yeah,
like,
because I'm only putting on one outfit for a show. You know, like I hosted one party where I had like a 3 or 4 outfit change, and I'll never do that shit again. Like, and I was just hosting a party.
Yeah.
You know, like I was just, keeping the vibe together for an event for one night.
Not dancing in heels.
Yeah.
Just keeping a vibe together.
Keeping a vibe together and deciding to like switch with the vibe as the night went along, but not, I just the stockings, the girdles,
Yeah.
So when it rained at the DC concert, like how her weave game switched up, and they had like the hairstylist had the whatever type of mousse. I have a license cosmetology. I should have more dexterity around hair care products, but it's been 20 years.
You created a life. I feel like everybody needs to just give you whatever.
Yeah, I'll take the grace. Please, I'll take the grace. But whatever setting lotion or whatever it is that they put in her hair that keep her hair wavy and curly and cute in the rain. You know what I'm saying? While dancing.
Right.
And the product wasn't falling into her eyes and burning her eyes out. Like, all of that takes intention. All of that takes having so many people who are at the top of their craft work with you to keep you at the top of your craft.
Yes.
And this is a way that Beyonce can say like, hey, I'm grown. Like, hey, I don't have to work as hard anymore because I've paid my dues over and over again.
Yeah.
And so I remember there's a poet in Cleveland that runs, what is it called? 12 Literary Arts.
Yeah.
Daniel Great Kantar, who is one of the founding members of Black Poetic Society. I'm a former member of Black Poetic, many generations removed. But I remember watching him perform when I was much younger, and him performing, reading off of paper. Like, he wasn't memorizing poems anymore. And he just basically said, like, you know, I don't have, basically was just like, I don't have to do that in this particular season. And I was like, oh, you know, so when I, you know, so when I got to a certain point in my performances and in my career, as a performance artist, I was like, what am I really trying to prove here? I know, like, he knew how to take what was on page and still it didn't detract from a performance. And I think that this was Beyonce's way of being able to read off paper. You know, if I was to be able to compare that to compare it directly to my craft, I can read this poem off paper and you still be just as moved as if I had it memorized. You know, and that's where you have to get to a certain point in your craft where you're just like, I don't have to work as hard.
Because it leaves so much space for the craft.
Yeah.
Like, once you don't feel like you have to control all those little things,
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, I have space to just be the artist. I have space to just be present. And then going back to that eldest daughter thing, there's an invisibility to that much work, right? People don't understand. That's why I keep circling back to that. It's like, people don't understand that there's a hair. Someone else has to come in and emergency do that hair so that it looks like that while she's performing. Like, that invisibility.
The type of makeup that you have to have that's not melt off your face in the rain or sweat.
All of that is consideration. All of that
every single bit of it. And to do that, and to have a team to take care of the rest of the people who are on stage as well. And I also just want to shout out that the band director is from, like, Akron.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the guy that plays keys in the concert, he's a part of a group called Ray Hands, which is a Northeast Ohio band.
We will shout you out in this as well.
Yeah, I can't think of his name, but
we got the Googles. We'll figure it
out. Shout out to that Northeast Ohio connect.
We love it.
We love to see it.
As we wrap up, before we get into, like, final thoughts, I just want to, since you brought it up, and I do love my city, what do you think it is about being a Cleveland artist that, like, the je ne sais quoi?
I was gonna say we have that je ne sais quoi. Literally that. We have that. I mean, we have. There's something about. So, slight tangent, but there's a push to rebrand the Great Lakes as the North Coast.
Okay.
Because, you know, we're one of the few freshwater sources on the globe.
Yes.
Like, and as climate change continues, we are going to see climate change refugees from across the country coming to our regions.
Yeah.
And as a second generation Midwesterner, I have a lot of pride being from here, specifically as a writer. You know, Nikki Ronnie is from Cincinnati. Is it Toni Morrison?
Toni Morrison, yeah.
Is from Lorraine. We have that it factor.
Yes.
Musicians galore.
Yes.
Singers galore. Shout out to Kid Cudi, who I went to school with, who grew up one street over from. You know, that was definitely the homie. Duran Bernard as well.
A whole episode.
Norel, who was featured on multiple Anderson .Paak songs and also has toured with Alicia Keys. We have it.
Yes.
And I think it's something about being from the Midwest where you get to experience all seasons, specifically the winter where you can't go outside because the snow is covering your door. And so all you can do is just work at your craft.
Yeah.
Because what else are you gonna do?
And I think all of that, and if you are in Cleveland deciding I want to do this art, it's because you really want to.
You really want to do it, and Cleveland is a hard city to get respect in.
Yeah.
And so, once you have your respect here, these other cities don't faze you.
No.
They just can't. You know,
it's a gauntlet. Okay, I'm on the side.
I've performed on the Apollo stage twice, and the first time did really well. One, got to come back, and second time I got booed off stage. But who cares? I'm from Cleveland. There is nothing that any place else in the world can do to me that specifically, y'all ain't gonna talk better to me than my mama has. The fuck? You mean? There's nothing that you can say to me. Who's really gonna check me that hard?
Really though.
We come from a rough place. Even Mike Tyson has talked about it's some gangsters in Cleveland. My mama, what?
Our river was on fire. Our river was on fire so many times they created the EPA.
Is that how the EPA?
That's how the EPA got started. It's because the Colorado River caught fire so many times.
Wow.
And it was oh boy, we're gonna fact check this at the bottom of the screen, but I believe it was Louis Stokes that specifically pushed for it because guess what was impacting the most?
We said we the type of city that will release a million balloons and kill people.
Balloon Fest? I will also insert something about Balloon Fest.
We ain't got it all together.
We really don't.
Up here, okay?
And that inspires the art. You know what I mean? That inspires the art.
It absolutely does. But it's a city where it's far enough east and also far enough west that we are. We have something that is special. We have something that is important. We have something that undergirds so much art across this globe.
The globe.
Yeah, hip hop has a lot of deep roots in Cleveland as well. It's just so much. It's just so much.
As we wind this down, do you have any other final thoughts or things that you just want to express or make sure we say? Or is there anything you want to promote? Make sure folks know how to support you?
Send me some money.
Yeah, we're going to put the cash up at the bottom of the screen.
EZV.
Just for the word that you got today, throw a couple dollars,
I got a whole little human. And
Hi. Okay, listen. I'm an auntie. I'm a community auntie. And I want to be very clear about something. I'm doing that because creating life is something that needs support.
Yeah, and this is the most beautiful thing I've ever artistically ever created in my life.
Yeah.
I can't write about it.
No.
I have not.
What words?
But I have no words. Yeah. I cannot believe that I've lived my life without this little human. But I'm just grateful that I got to take her to Beyonce concerts. I'm grateful that she got to get rubbed. My belly got rubbed by Janelle Monáe. Also, this baby has
just a lot of anointing.
Yeah, the baby has had a lot of anointing, and a lot of live music experiences in utero. And so, I'm hoping that means something for them.
It's a good start. That's a starting place right there.
For sure.
And then one other thing, I know you have a book.
I do. I have a couple of books. The latest book, Bruh, Poems to Pay for Alimony.
All in the title.
Yeah. If you're considering divorcing or considering getting married, it's a book worth reading in those transitional seasons, just so you're just aware. But the digital version of that is available on my website, eriseady.com. Yeah, so I do have that.
I think with that, we're going to wrap this up.
I appreciate
you so
you.
much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad that.
I'll be back. Who knows when? But I'll be back. Thanks so much.